The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 775. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She's an award-winning host, commentator, speaker, producer, and author, specializing in contemporary social issues and popular culture, and I'm really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Kristin Meinzer. Kristin, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, well, that was a very thorough introduction, but I guess to elaborate a little bit more, I host several podcasts. The one I'm known best for is called By the Book, and on that, my co-host Jolenta and I live by the rules of different self-help books in each episode and record ourselves along the way. It's an audio reality show, so you get to hear how each book enhances or destroys our lives, our marriages, our jobs, and so on. So that's probably what I'm best known for. I'm also the author of a book called So You Want to Start a Podcast, and I'm a regular commentator on all matters pop culture. And one of the main things I comment on are the British royals and also on movies. So those two things I talk about a lot.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Kristin, what's your cultural background?
I am a Minnesotan living in New York who's also a Korean adoptee. And so this month I'm actually celebrating, or last month it was, my 20th anniversary of living in New York, which means I think the way things are looking now, I'll have spent the majority of my life in New York.
Thanks for sharing that, and congrats on your 20-year anniversary. And Kristin, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
So I would say something that my Nana used to say from time to time, I think is very useful in terms of self-confidence. And she used to say, most people aren't thinking about you most of the time, and that's a good thing. And the reason I associate that with self-confidence is because I think a lot of the times the reason we don't feel confident is we are worried. Like, what is so-and-so going to think? What are people going to think about me? What are so-and-so and such going to think after I do this one thing or if I don't do this thing? And I think a lot about self-confidence is actively trying to overcome that fear that people are thinking about you or talking about you all the time. And like my Nana said, most people aren't thinking about you most of the time anyway, and that's a good thing. So I think it takes a lot longer to internalize that, though, than it does to just say it. You know, it can just sound like a happy motto. I think it takes a lot of time to really internalize that for a lot of us. I know it did for me.
Thanks for sharing that great quote. And yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, for me, you know, as a woman especially, we're so prone to like thinking everyone would like criticize us for every single thing that we do, but really most of them are thinking about, you know, probably they have their own problems, their own things they have to worry about. And the more we remind ourselves that, the more we can go out and just do our thing and just keep moving forward. So thanks for sharing that again. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
Well, I think self-confidence, as I was just alluding to, isn't just something that you automatically feel. I think it is the result of action, and I think it's something that happens with action. And by that, I mean, I think it comes from doing things we're scared of, saying kind things to ourselves, not constantly worrying about what other people are thinking of us. So I think confidence is something that goes hand in hand with all of those actions. And we can't just say usually like, oh, I'm self-confident today. I think self-confidence, much like love, is a verb and it's not just a noun.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. I totally agree. I mean, you know, building self-confidence does take action. Even if it's the wrong action, it still propels us to keep moving forward, keep taking action no matter what happens. And we can always course correct along the way. So thanks for sharing that great definition. And Kristin, what was your life like before you discovered self-confidence?
Oh gosh, I think that it's not a case of discovering self-confidence. I really think it goes in waves. Like I look at most 3 and 4-year-old kids and they are just so fearless and happy, and they don't worry about, do I look pretty enough or what are other people saying about me? At that age, I think that's something that we could all just look to for inspiration. Like, oh, look, they're not worried about anyone else. They're just so confident. And I think all humans, including myself, I think we go through different waves. And then we go from that happy, confident 3 or 4-year-old to having the world, question us, and to the point where we're surrounded by media that is constantly telling us we're not pretty enough, or we don't look the way we're supposed to, or have people tell us that we're not smart enough. And so I think the world starts to gradually chip away at that beautiful thing we have when we're 3 or 4, and we ideally, hopefully, build it back up again over time through different experiences, through different mistakes, and so on. So for me, it's hard to say what was my life like before self-confidence, because I think it really has gone in waves for me, and that it does for most people.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love how you mentioned that it goes in waves, because, before I used to think confidence is like you have it and you always have it. And, there's days we're 100% confident. There's days when we're like minus 20% confident. And that's just a part of life, and we're human. Like, we're not always going to be confident. But, it's just having the tools and resources to help us keep building our confidence no matter what happens. And, like you mentioned, looking to kids. Yeah, it's a great, way to look at confidence, because they're just fearless. Like, whether it's like, jumping off the couch or whatever it is, even if they fall down, it's like, they don't think about, oh my God, somebody just saw me fall down. Are they going to laugh at me? They just fall down and then get back up and just keep doing it again. Like, I remember I had, a friend's niece who was like 3 or 4 at the time, and she like basically ran into the wall, and we were all like, oh my God, is she okay? Like, she ran into the wall, she cried for like 2 minutes and just went on with her life again and started playing. And, if we just see things in that way, I think it just makes us realize like it's just all part of the process.
Oh yeah, that's such a great way to think about it too, of like, yeah, go ahead and let yourself cry for 2 minutes and then just continue. It's fine. Let yourself feel those feelings. No one's telling you can't feel those feelings, but then don't completely let it overwhelm you and change your perception of yourself or your abilities or the world. Just, get those feelings out and get back out there, and then throw yourself off the couch again.
Yeah, totally. So thanks for sharing that. And, what was that point in your life, especially, doing all these things, speaking, podcasting, commentating? What was that aha moment that gave you that confidence to go out there and be that? Especially like, as an Asian woman, sometimes, we feel like we are only meant to live like one certain way, and anything outside of that is like just considered like not proper or shameful or wild. But yeah, what was that confidence that gave you the to just go there and do your own thing?
Oh my gosh, I've had a million of those aha moments. I think that they probably happen to me every single day, where I make a mistake and then I realize, oh, I didn't die from it. Or a boss asked me to do a certain thing that seemed scary, and then it wasn't so scary once I got up there. Or maybe it was scary, but it was also exhilarating. And that includes everything from the first time I had a boss put me on live radio to talk about movies, to the first time I was told to go on a stage in front of more than 100 people, all the different times I've been asked to represent a company over the years at a meeting. And I think all of those things just added up over time, and they happen every day. And I think part of it also is we can take a lot of things that feel like failures and turn them into aha moments. So, just yesterday I made a mistake. I sent an email, I spelled something wrong. Somebody wrote me back about it. And I could have taken that as something to toss and turn about all night and be devastated about. Or I could just, feel a little bit lousy about it for a few minutes and then say, all right, I let myself feel bad about it. Now let's move forward. This wasn't the end of the world. I didn't ruin anything by doing this one wrong thing. So I could turn that little mistake into an aha moment. All sorts of mistakes can be aha moments. Or as Bob Ross used to say, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. And those accidents can lead us to good places, right?
Yeah, totally. I always say that sometimes your greatest mistake can lead you to your greatest opportunities. And I know as women, it's like if we make a mistake, we feel like it's the end of the world. But, we have to realize we're human. We're not like a robot. We're not perfect. And mistakes happen. And it's like you mentioned, we can, wallow in it for about a couple minutes, a day or two. But it's up to us to just brush it off and keep moving. I mean, I make a ton of grammar mistakes. I get emails all the time saying like, oh, you said this wrong. I'm like, okay, I'll correct it. And then I get on with my life versus like, oh my God, I must be a dummy.
Yeah. And it's okay to feel bad about it for a little bit and then just move on. It's tomorrow at this time, no one's going to be thinking about it. And hopefully you won't either.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing that. And, because of these like little realizations that you have, what's your life like now?
Well, I feel really, really fortunate in lots of ways. I get to do a lot of things that I love. I get to host multiple podcasts. I get to talk about my opinions about the world in newspapers and on TV. I've gotten to write books. My third book is coming out this upcoming March. It's called How to Be Fine. And my co-host Jolenta Greenberg and I wrote that. And it's about everything we've learned from living by the rules of 50 self-help books. And I just, more than anything, I feel that in addition to those professional opportunities, I just feel much more happy in my life in general. I have so many good friends. I have an outstanding husband, and with what few family members I have that are still alive, there's a deep love and respect there. So I think that it's easier to do all sorts of things in life when I'm not questioning myself constantly. And I think that, that's a lot of what self-confidence is, or the lack of, is just, are you questioning yourself constantly? And when you're not busy questioning yourself, you can start asking bigger questions that are more important to ask. Like, am I being a good human? Am I being kind to others? Am I doing all I can to elevate other voices and to speak truth to power? So yeah, if we can all just stop questioning ourselves so much, we can start asking more important questions.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love how you mentioned that, because as women, we tend to overanalyze everything and question every single thing that we do. And when we can take that out and just take action, and I know sometimes, taking action, we might take the wrong action, make mistakes, but, just at least we know where we're going. We can track it. We can correct it. We can see what works, what doesn't work. And it just makes the process, fun, right? When we see it in that way. So I really like that you mentioned that. And if our listeners were tuning into your episode and she's in a similar journey to self-confidence, what would be that one tip you'd give to her?
You know what? Fake it till you make it. And by that, I don't just mean play make-believe. I also mean have fun with it. So, for example, one friend of mine said to me she hates walking into a room where she doesn't know anybody. Like if she has to go to some work party or an event where she doesn't really know anybody. And so what she does is she walks in and she pretends she's an anthropologist and tries to learn everything she can about those around her. And just that simple act of make-believe kind of turns her into somebody more confident and less scared to talk to people. And I think there are a lot of ways to do that. Are you feeling uncomfortable walking in a neighborhood you're not familiar with? Well, hold your head high, maybe smile. Don't be afraid to ask people for directions if you need it. Even if in your heart you're thinking, I'm too shy to talk to people, or I feel a little bit lost. It's okay to, stand with your head high and go into that space to ask questions, to talk to people, and do the best to carry yourself in a way that says, I'm willing to learn from this and I'm not going to be broken by the situation. Don't be afraid to fake it till you make it.
Thanks for sharing that great tip. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do and check out some of your work, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yes, my website is KristenMeinzer.com, and I'm on Twitter at Kristin Meinzer, and I'm on Instagram at K10Meinzer. That's K10 Meinzer. And those are the three main places people can follow me or reach out to me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Kristin, you can also head on over to thetowofselfconfidence.com and search for Kristin's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Kristin today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Kristin.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure.
Not a problem. It's been really great having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Want to learn how you can use podcasting to market your business? Download your free report by visiting our website at thetowofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.